Tonight, cuteness overload in the studio. We'll talk about the Tigers, the Jags, and pro football. Cleve Dunn puts me and Brandy Harris to work for free in Washington, of all places. But we'll begin with a conversation with our school superintendent. Roll it, Scott. You know, I'm not joking about that putting us to work part in Washington, D.C. You'll see what I mean coming up in the next segment. But first, our school superintendent is back here on the set with us to talk about what's happening at EBR schools. Since the last time you were here, you have given your plan to the public about what's going to happen with transportation here in the district, and you've had an 18-hour school board meeting one night and other meetings since then. So for those who have not been initiated to the information, what is the plan?
Yeah, so right now, as you know, I made a proposal to change the times the board approved for us to bring back elementary transfers, and so we're doing that. And then we've had new routing systems that we put in, which started actually on Monday, September 11th. And so, you know, once you put in new stuff, it takes a couple of days for it to work.
Yeah.
We're working on collection points for schools that are selective schools. Those are schools that are kind of like magnet schools because kids are coming across the parish. Mm-hmm. We also have our neighborhood schools we're working through. And so right now, what we've been doing is trying to make sure that these new routes are given time to work and implemented. We still have the challenge of bus drivers. I mean, we without bus drivers, no matter what you do, you still have a set of challenges. So we're trying to work through that. We've also been consolidating routes, which is important. We've been also purchasing new buses as well as leasing buses. So we've had a lot of progress there. Even in our hiring that we've done with bus drivers, we had a fair that was a couple of days ago. We've already hired 22 new bus drivers to add on to the fleet, but you know, we had over 100 vacancies.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you're still down about 80 drivers?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So you know, it's just going to take some time. It's going to, and then we also are working right now. Just yesterday, I met with the parent advisory group with working on collection points, where you know we can get a group of parents work together and say, hey, this is a site to pick up. They give us that recommendation, and we can send a bus that's there to actually pick up kids.
Tell me how this creates efficiency. How do you? Because you're down 80 buses, you've got to address the issue, you got to get the kids in the classroom. Yeah. How does this plan create efficiency?
Yeah, I mean, the goal all the time is to get kids to school. Some things that we can do, for example, you know, try to make sure that every child's picked up, make sure that we're communicating with parents to make sure that they are aware about what adjustments we make, you know, route shifting and those things. And from an efficiency standpoint, the day gets better and better as we get used to the current routes. Okay. This week feels kind of brand new, like the first week of school, because we had to redo some things. And so, and from an efficiency standpoint, every single day as we are continuing to get the routes to run through, the timing will get better. Yeah. But we'll still have some different set of challenges.
Well, I'm sure you knew going into this that you were going to receive some backlash from parents because it disrupts people's normalcy, which no one likes. Everybody likes their routine to remain the same. Yeah. So I'm sure you thought about that going in. Yeah. What was your plan to communicate the outcome, the return on investment to them, even though you knew some were going to be upset with you about it?
Yeah, you know, as a superintendent or in positions like mine, you know you're going to get some, you know, feedback, critique, or anything that you propose. You know, if you say A, but somebody's going to say, well, it should be B, C, and D. Right. My job all the time is to give you the best option. And so what we did was, you know, we looked at the supply and demand. We worked with the governor's office of the National Guard, different folks, and we said, hey, here is an option we think that can help this city, which was the 3-tier approach. You know, folks were really upset about that. They didn't want to change. And so we said, okay, let's make some adjustments. And so like my view of the world is all the time is I have to keep giving the best recommendations in order for adjustments to be made, regardless of, you know, if it makes people feel a particular way.
Right. You know, there's a lot more about this that I want us to get into, but you and I talked about this before. I said this last week when a couple of your team members were here to talk about the recruitment effort. I have no problem with people showing up to voice their disagreement with your plan and to say that they don't like it. That comes with the territory. You got the job. You know that's going to come with it. What I had a problem with was the nature of the criticism. It was personal. It was over the top. It was darn near racial in the way that it went. And I'm thinking, it's time out for that, okay? You could come to the board meeting and you could say you have a problem with something, but there's no reason to act like a you-know-what fool for 5 hours. So you talked about this a little bit at BRCC last week. Let's talk about that, because you have never said, I don't want to be criticized. But dude, that was over the top. What about that?
I mean, you know, what I've learned about Baton Rouge, just like any other city I've worked in, is we have a great community and people are passionate about what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, the challenge to me is never a resource issue, but is we have to move in one direction. And what the challenge is when you have a place that is sometimes so many different perspectives and opinions, and so many times that we haven't been able to move in one direction, this bubbles up, right?
Yeah.
And the school system, because we are a part of everyone's lives,
Yeah.
right, in one way, shape, or form, it becomes very challenging in terms of like how people feel that they have to advocate. And I tell folks, advocate, but we got to move in a direction.
Yeah.
And a part of being the superintendent is my goal is to facilitate us to move in that direction as quickly as possible. And when you get in a crisis,
Yeah.
you have to be able to lead through that.
Look, I got a little less than a minute left. What is your expectation for the year with these changes you've made?
Yeah, the goal is that we're going to keep improving over time with how the routes are. You know, we've given extension for kids who come in late to make sure that parents are not penalized with that. And then we just keep going. I mean, school is actually going on, and
Right.
that's going good. So if we're unable to cover routes, we'll start calling families and say, hey, you need to bring kids in.
Right.
That's just how we'll kind of manage it.
Quickly, when is State of the District? Are you doing it? When?
Yeah, we do plan on doing. We're going to have a date for that soon.
Okay.
And so we'll get back to you, and I'll let you know what that date is.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Yeah.
Cleve Dunn is in studio, and we'll find out how he pulled a fast one on me and Brandy.